2016 meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Could we have a roll call of the members, please?
Sorry. Alan Bucknam,
Present.
Dirk Bowden, Emery Dorsey,
Here.
Donna Kimsey,
Here.
Janet Leo,
Here.
Scott Ohm,
Here.
and Steve Timms and Amanda Weaver are absent tonight.
Thank you. Could you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Could I have a motion to approve the order of the agenda, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the order of the agenda. I'll second that motion.
All right. Any discussion? All right. Let's vote. Emery, did you hit your button?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Motion passed 6-0.
All right, thank you. Next up is the approval of the minutes for February 18th, 2016.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, please vote. If you weren't here, you can just abstain.
Motion passed 5-0 with one abstaining.
Great. All right, next up on the agenda is the public forum. This is the time for any person to speak on any subject not appearing on the agenda. If you're here to speak regarding the case that we're hearing tonight, you'll have that opportunity when we hear the case.
No one has signed up.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to the public hearing then. We have one case tonight. Case number PBG-15-02. It's an application filed by DCB Construction for approval of a planned building group for development of a self-storage and flex office facility for property zoned industrial employment, that's IE, located at 4901 Marshall Street.
Good evening, my name is Lisa Ritchie. I'm a planner with the City of Wheat Ridge Community Development Department. We are here tonight to hear case number PBG-15-02, request for approval of a planned building group for self-storage and flex office development with a caretaker unit at 4901 Marshall Street. I'd like to enter into the public record the contents of the case file, the zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan, and this digital presentation.
So entered, thanks.
Properties within the City of Wheat Ridge, all appropriate notification, publication, and posting requirements have been met, therefore the Planning Commission has jurisdiction to hear this case. A little bit of an overview of what the planned building group process looks like. This isn't a case type that we process very often, so I'll run through this quickly. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. Planned building group process is regulated under section 26-116 of the Zoning and Development Code. The goal of it is to allow multiple buildings on a single parcel. Does not require a neighborhood meeting. Planning Commission is the decision-making body. This will not get forwarded to City Council. An appeal of your decision would go to District Court. So again, what does a planned building group not do? Does not change the zoning, does not change the permitted uses, does not dictate setbacks or lot coverage, and it does not address certain impacts such as noise. So essentially, what are we looking at tonight? This is a site plan review which permits multiple buildings on a single lot. It addresses development design such as building placement, building architecture, circulation and parking, addresses lighting impacts, and buffering for adjacent uses. So moving on into the particulars on this one. You guys, I believe, are pretty familiar with this site already. It's number 3, I believe, on the cases that have been related to this property for you. So again, I'll go through these relatively quickly. We have an aerial 2014 showing the site. Again, the previous structure is still shown here. Property fronts Marshall Street, is bounded on the south and east by I-70. Clear Creek is to the north of the property. It's separated by another property to the north. This is the existing zoning for the property as well as the surrounding area. It was rezoned to industrial employment in late 2015. This is a zone district criteria in the ASDM that we have to look for to see if and what portions of the ASDM apply. In this particular site, the architectural standards are not applicable to the site context. It's not adjacent to any residential development, as well as the way the site is designed. It's more than 50 feet away from a public street. Therefore, the standards don't apply. However, the applicant, in our staff's opinion, meets the intent of the ASDM by providing those upgraded architectural features on portions of the site that are visible from both I-70 as well as Marshall Street. Those higher upgraded architectural portions of the building will be comprised of CMU block in a tan color, metal siding in 3 different colors, and some differing orientations for the metal siding. And something else that it exceeds the ASDM standards, the Marshall Street elevation is roughly 40% transparent. For this particular zone district, they would only have to be 15% transparent if they were to comply. Finally, as far as the application goes, site drainage. The site includes a stormwater outfall to Clear Creek. The applicant has worked closely with Public Works and Parks to make sure that this is adequately designed and the wetland areas and things like that are protected. The applicant has also applied for approval from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for this particular outfall. I don't believe you've received final approval. That's one of our recommendations for a condition, is that the applicant actually receives that approval prior to constructing that storm outfall. So again, as part of our process, we refer out to agencies. Generally, what this slide is saying is there's no concerns from any affected agencies. That applicant is working with all of the appropriate parties. So finally, staff recommends approval of this request for the following reasons. It's in conformance with the zoning and development code. The use is permitted within the code. The application complies with the applicable standards set forth in the ASDM. And the applicant is in compliance with the PVG evaluation criteria. We do recommend 2 following conditions. Applicant shall continue to work with staff to ensure that the planned building group site plan to be recorded with Jefferson County is consistent with the final action to be taken by City Council regarding the Marshall Street right-of-way vacation. Right now, that final public hearing on that vacation is set for March 28th. So should all time out fairly well. And again, as I mentioned before, that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers should approve the proposed stormwater outfall location. And if that doesn't happen, then that will want to approve the staff to ensure that final design is reconsidered. So with that, I also have the plan set pulled up as PDFs. If we need to zoom in, the applicants are all here to answer any questions that you may have. So, thank you.
Right, thanks. Questions for staff? Scott?
Thank you. Yes, I have a couple questions. Let's start with the signage. Are we approving any type of signage?
No, that's a great point. So all signage will be separately. All signage will be separately permitted.
Okay, and that will comply with CDOT standards as well?
So CDOT standards would only apply to the billboard that I'm aware of. All of the
Correct.
rest, which again is a separate permit that's already approved. CDOT already allows that billboard to be there. So the remainder of the signage would have to comply with our code.
Even that, because I understand there's also a digital sign that fronts I-70 as well, in
That's
addition
what
to
they
the
have
billboard.
proposed and shown on the plans. We'll have to review that, honestly. It's not something that we've...
Okay. And then on to the, could you take a look at the landscape plan? Does the landscape plan where it's along Marshall Street, or does that meet does that need to meet, or does that meet the streetscape standards?
It does meet streetscape standards.
Okay.
Streetscape standards there are roughly 1 tree for every 30 linear feet. They're proposing I believe it was 16 or 17 trees, so that complies, as well as the shrub requirement, the 6-foot detached and the 6-foot amenity zone. So yes, it's in compliance.
It looks like there's a lot of trees between Marshall Street and that building there, and it appears that some of these trees that are large canopy are very close to each other, unsafely close, in the fact that when the trees are put that close, oftentimes there can be breakage because they're inadequately spaced.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. We've been working closely with the Forestry Division. They've reviewed this application. We actually have a note on this landscape plan that, in addition to the street trees, there's also overhead power lines in this area that are going to be relocated as part of the construction there. So that's something that we'll be working with the applicant on. Once those overhead power lines are put back in place, we'll make sure that the most appropriate tree species are selected.
Okay, yeah, if you could just double check what the mature canopy width is and what the spacing is. And then as you scroll down a little bit to the south more, I noticed it's hard to see, but there's 3 evergreen trees that are just on the south side of the road. No, go north, right there, a little bit north. Those 3 right there. Those will create a shading effect on that pavement, and in the wintertime will create some icy spots. That's something that the city should consider as far as placing evergreens that will shade on the north side.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's something that we can move those to deciduous trees. Would you prefer deciduous trees in that location, you think?
That would be fine. My opinion is that the trees that are probably between that ditch and the building, there's way too, yeah, it's overly dense. There's way too many. If those trees could pull a few of those out and you could spread those wherever possible on the site, perhaps it could be where those evergreens are, and then take those evergreens and put those in an appropriate place where it would screen up to the staff's determination.
Those are good suggestions. We can work with the applicant to make sure the trees are in.
And then another question is, and this might be more for the applicant, but do you know the water quality pond? My understanding is there are going to be willows in there which need a lot of water. Is that going to have a lot of water that it's going to warrant that?
You know, that we've had a lot of discussion on that, actually, and one of the provisions in the SIA, which is our subdivision improvement agreement that goes along with the recording of the plat, is an acknowledgement that staff and the applicant will continue to monitor that growth, and if it doesn't take or if it doesn't establish well, that the staff has the opportunity to revisit this landscape plan.
Okay.
They've had their landscape planner, their landscape architect, provide us a written response to that very comment, and in their opinion, they feel like there's going to be enough water based on kind of the drainage from all of the paved area. But
Okay.
again, it's something that we recognize and will monitor over time.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Janet, do you have questions? No. Okay. Donna?
No questions.
Emery? No questions. Dirk, do you have any questions?
Yes. As I read this proposal, I've noticed more and more throughout the city different storage unit facilities, and I noticed how they can either detract if they're poorly run down. Those neon orange ones that we see across town. This actually looks like a really nice, aesthetically pleasing plan. But I was wondering about the perimeter fencing and the decision to do chain link fence. Some throughout town have kind of iron fencing, and if there's been any kind of security analysis with this, and if there would be barbed wire on top of that chain link fencing, maybe that can be discussed by the planners.
Probably direct that question to the applicant, if that's okay.
Okay. And then just to follow up with Commissioner Ohm's discussion about the landscape planning, when you talked about the provisions, is that something that's done completely, the provisions, after 1 year to assess whether the landscape planning is actually functioning like it was supposed to? Is that something that's done internally with the planners, or is that with the Forestry Division kind of consultation?
No, that's a great question. So along with the plat document, we record at the county level a document called a subdivision improvement agreement. And so that document, that agreement gets recorded at the county. It's something that will be most likely facilitated and handled through the planning department, but planning department wouldn't make any determination if a plant is healthy or not. So we would absolutely partner with the Forestry Division to make those kind of determinations and recommendations. But the process, if we have to actually change anything, would probably run through community development.
That's it.
Okay, great. If there are no more questions for staff, if the applicant would like to speak to this case, and maybe, if nothing else, come up so that we can ask you some questions, that would be great. If you can just give us your name and address, please, for the record. Thank you.
Hi there, Mark Delgado with DCB Construction. I'm at 680 South Harrison Street in Denver, Colorado.
And I'm Clay Carlson with Carlson Associates, 12460 First Street, East Lake, Colorado.
Great.
I don't think we're going to give a big presentation. I think Lisa did a good job on kind of summarizing the project, so maybe we could leave it to answering questions. If this, just to touch on the fence there, so let me see if I can. So you had noticed the chain link fence, and there is no barbed wire proposed above that. And just the extent of the chain link fence actually only occurs in this area here because we're sunk down so far from the freeway at that point. And I think if I could go to the grading plan, you can kind of see all the grade change that occurs and how it's really shielded from any traffic that's passing westbound. So in fact, this is the only area where we're proposing new chain link fence. The gates that are located at the entryways, entrance control points here and here, we actually have a masonry wall that screens the manager's yard, and then beyond that, it's actually a wrought iron style fence. So we are trying to, where it makes sense and we're visible from the right of way, to have a more pleasing aesthetic for the fencing. So.
Okay, great. Well, let's see if we have any more questions. Commissioner Bowden, do you have any further questions for the applicant? Clarification. Commissioner Dorsey?
Did you say that, or did she say that the Army engineers have approved the drainage plan? It was approved, or?
It's been submitted, and our civil engineer is actually on hand. He can probably give us a little update, but it's in the process of being submitted.
In the process, okay, okay.
Commissioner Kinsey?
I just have one question about the finishes. Do you have samples of these 3 colors of siding?
They come off of a manufacturer standard sort of palette, so we'd be happy to provide samples of the architecture if needed.
Yeah, I'd just like to see them. And the CMU is tan? Is that
That's
right?
correct. It's sort of a warm tan
Okay,
color, yeah.
thank you.
Commissioner Leo, do you have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Leo, do you have any questions for the applicant? No. Oh, okay. Commissioner Ohm? Okay, great. I don't believe I have any at this time, so thanks very much. I guess I'll open this up for a motion or just some discussion.
And just to add on, I don't have, the only person who signed up on the public hearing roster to speak is Mark Delgado, who is with their team.
Yes, my apologies for not seeing if anyone in the audience wanted to make a comment. That there's more than certainly welcome to if you guys have anything more you want to say. But okay, thank you, Meredith. It's been a long day. All right, motions.
I have a motion, the option A. I move to approve of case number PBG-15-02, a request for approval of a planned building group for property located at 4901 Marshall Street for the following reasons. The proposed site plan is in conformance with the zoning and development code. The proposed use is permitted in the zoning code. The application complies with the applicable standards set forth in the architectural and site design manual. And the application is in compliance with the planned building group evaluation criteria with the following conditions. 1, the applicant continue to work with staff to ensure that the planned building group site plan to be recorded of Jefferson County is consistent with the final action to be taken by the City Council regarding the right-of-way for the Marshall Street. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers shall approve the proposed stormwater outfall location.
I'll second.
Any discussion of the motion?
I'd like to just add one friendly suggestion to staff that they ask the applicant to put the mature size, the width and height on the landscape plan. Just a friendly suggestion.
Can we offer that as a friendly amendment to the motion as a condition, Mr. Dorsey?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so if there's no other discussion, we'll vote on that motion right now.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, thank you. Thanks very much, applicants, for coming down. Thank you, staff. So, we do have one other item on our agenda. It's the election of officers. I seem to recall that I ended up in this chair this time around because I was not here. I would hope for that meeting, I would hope that if Commissioners Timms and Weaver are watching this on TV, they will thank me when I suggest that maybe we postpone that election of officers until everybody is present, perhaps at the next meeting. What say all of you? I think that'd be nice. All right, well, we'll put that off. Well, no, you're right. This is sort of a short term compared to the usual term. But I have been chair before for a full term. So, Meredith, is there any other news you want to share with us, or any other items?
Nothing that comes to mind. We want to thank our new representative from District 4, Janet Leo, has been a longtime Wheat Ridge resident. She's had a planning background and also has worked with the Urban Renewal Authority. We were trying to figure out how long that's been, and I guess we never did. But anyway, she comes to us with some great experience that I'm sure will aid with our business. So,
Great.
welcome,
Yes.
Janet.
Yeah, welcome, Janet. It's nice to have you here. All right, then. Well, I guess next item up is adjournment. So, motion for that.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, let's vote.
Motion passed 6-0.
All right, thank you. We'll see you next time.